Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Welcome to DSC's Campfires with Larry Weishuhn, a unique blend of hunting, fishing, wildlife conservation, and the outdoor lifestyle. DSC's Campfires is brought to you by DSC, Conservation, Education, and Advocacy. Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. Taurus, award-winning revolvers and pistols. Stealth Vision, high-tech, precision-driven equipment for today's modern hunter. Red 55 Winery, signature wines from Emmy Award-winning country artist Miranda Lambert, owned by Rick and Beverly Lambert. And the Choctaw Hunting Lodge, home of some of the finest hunting in North America. Now, here's Larry.
Mr. Billy Kinder, it is such a pleasure. We're going to reverse roles on you a little bit this morning. You called me with your radio show asking me questions about this, and this. You know what? Today's my turn to ask questions of you, if you don't mind.
Well, I will. I'll try to provide some answers. It's always such a pleasure, Larry, whenever I get a chance to visit with you, just to visit. Sometimes we just visit, and it's not business, and just a pleasure. And whenever I see you at these different events, it's like running into family. And I've appreciated you so much through all these many years, and will continue to do so.
Amen. And it's exactly the same here. Before we really get into my asking questions, there's a couple of different things. How do people get it to have the great opportunity, as far as I'm concerned, and it certainly is that, to listen to your radio shows? Where do they go? Where do they tune in? And I know there's a lot of different places.
There are, yeah. We're on about 150 AM/FM stations across the country. I talked to a fellow at the Dallas Safari Club show a few years ago. He came over to my booth and he said, "You interviewed me a year ago at this show." I said, "I sure did." He said, "I took a week off and went fishing in Alaska this summer." And he said, the guide up there had the radio on in the boat, and all of a sudden I was on the radio in Alaska. And it was that interview you did with me. It was a station in Kenai that carried us. And so we're on all across the U.S., plus SiriusXM every weekend, Saturday and Sunday mornings at 8 o'clock Central Time across the U.S. and Canada. And then anywhere you can get a podcast, we're there. But the easiest way, Larry, is just Kinder, like kindergarten, Kinder, kinderoutdoors.com. And it'll have all the information you need.
That's what I wanted to go to start with before we got into this. I couldn't remember the total number of radio stations. I knew about the Sirius radio thing. I knew about the podcast, all those other kind of things. But my gracious, that's a lot of different places. And how unique for that to happen, have that individual on a boat fishing up there in Alaska, and all of a sudden they have the radio on, and guess what? There's Billy Kinder.
There he was. He heard himself. You know, I think he's from down around San Antonio somewhere. He made steel targets, rifle practice targets, and took a week off from making targets. Went to Alaska to go fishing, and there he was. He found himself in Alaska.
I love it. Now, for those of y'all that are listening, I know that this goes all to pretty much all of our DSC chapters as well, too. If you don't already know Billy Kinder, you will, and you should, but you are also have become the official voice of DSC. For anybody that calls the DSC office, guess who answers the phone?
I was so honored when they asked me, "Hey, would you mind doing this for us?" I was so honored to do that. I thought, wow. everybody that loves wildlife, wild places, and conservation around the globe calls that office. And I'm the first guy they're going to talk to in a lot of instances. I'm honored. I love that.
I love it as well, too. You've got such a unique and great voice and such a great supporter for so many years of DSC and the DSC Foundation. And one other thing before I get into questions, we're having our summer show July 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th. That's the DSC Summer Show at the Gaylord Texan in Grapevine, Texas. People can learn more about it and even register for that show by going to biggame.org. And then the foundation, the DSC Foundation, which is our granting arm of the DSC organization. Actually, last year, I've been very fortunate to serve on the board of directors there and now serve as an advisor. And last year, we granted over $1 million to very worthwhile, extremely vetted groups that support conservation through hunting and education. And with that said, on the night of July the 25th, we're having our annual gala. And guess who's going to be the MC? Mr. Billy Kinder. I love it again.
That's going to be so much fun. Robin, my wife Robin, and I are both life members of Dallas Safari Club. We recognized many, many years ago that this is an organization that works very hard to raise important funds, important money, and they have fun doing it. Everybody just has a ball working together. If not, you wouldn't see, I don't know how many volunteers there are now, Larry. Do you? Hundreds of people that volunteer to help put together a convention and expo every year, and now the summer expo and gala, and so it's just a wonderful place, and very little overhead, very, very little money spent internally. It goes out, like you said, $1 million last year. It goes to very important stuff all over the globe. A helicopter in Africa with a DSC logo on it that's got its eyes on poachers. A water guzzler in West Texas that brings much needed moisture to an area and critters that just really struggle most years. So wherever you are, Dallas Safari Club is doing important work there, and I would urge you, like Larry said, to go to biggame.org and take a look at the various membership levels and buy a ticket to the foundation party. We're going to have a wonderful night, and it's always an incredible auction and a room full of great people that you want to rub elbows with. So come be a part of that in July.
Absolutely, and if they can't get there, they can still bid on those items by going to onlinehuntingauctions.com and looking up the DSC Foundation Gala as well too. And I want to mention very quickly, there's so many ways to be involved with DSC, which is the finest conservation organization there is in the world, and that also includes chapters throughout North America, and people can get involved with them there. And we'll go into the chapter things some other time a little bit more, but where I really want to go to this morning is I want to know about you and quail hunting.
Yes, sir. That's in my DNA. I just absolutely love to talk about our bobwhite and blue quail and Mern's quail out in Arizona, and just all of our upland birds and the dogs that we partner with to pursue them. It's a passion.
Have you always been a bird hunter? I mean, from the time you were a little bitty kid, or is this something that you really got into a little bit later in life?
You know, Larry, my dad, when I was 10 years old, my dad wasn't a hunter. He was a crappie fisherman, and Dad picked me up from school one day, and he was a very quiet man. He didn't say much of anything, and he picked me up from school, and I did the talking, he did the listening, and drove us to White's Auto down in Mineral Wells, Texas, my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
And we walked in, and when we walked in, he obviously, small town, he knew everybody in there, and the man behind the counter saw him coming, and he pulled a single shot Stevens 12-gauge shotgun out from behind the counter, and a vest and 2 boxes of shells. And I'm just sitting there staring, thinking my daddy is about to start hunting.
Yeah.
And he picked those things up and handed them to me.
Oh my God.
Now, I was not the valedictorian at Mineral Wells High School, but I did graduate. So
I think you just described me in a different place.
It took me a few minutes to realize what was happening, but he was presenting those things to me. And he took me out to shoot in some pasture somewhere. I had never fired a gun in my life. He didn't say a word to me, didn't know anything about it, how to teach me how to shoot. It just turned me loose with that shotgun, and he followed and watched at a safe distance. And the first shot I ever fired out of that shotgun, I killed a bird. And,
oh my goodness.
And that is branded into my mind. Now, it was pure luck, I'm sure, but, it began some, it landed on fertile ground, and, we grew up, on the outskirts, south edge of town at Mineral Wells, and I could take my shotgun and walk across that city street I lived on and jump through the barbed wire fence across the street. And all of a sudden I was in Wonderland. It was Jones' pasture. I never met Mr. Jones, but God bless him for letting us kids romp around out there. And it was just full of bobwhite quail. Palapena County back then had quail. Not many there now. And I could listen to a whistle and walk them up, and I could shoot, 10 or 12, 14 birds that we enjoyed on the table. And now I'm a provider at 10, 11 years old. And that really boosted me and did something for me as a kid that I'm just afraid a lot of our kiddos miss out on these days. But it started way back when, Larry, just like you, when your daddy put that deer rifle in your hand.
It really did. I started very early as you did. And you bring up the fact that there used to be quail there. And the same thing, I grew up in Colorado County, which back then was about 80 plus miles west of Houston. Now Houston is encroached a lot closer, but I grew up during the period of the drought of the 50s, which was a horrible drought. And yet we had a substantial number of bobwhite quail, which we no longer have in that part of the country. I own the little place that's been in my family now since about 1850s. It's not as big as what it used to be, but there were quail when I was growing up, and now we don't have quail. And I know that to be the case in so many different areas. And particularly, I was very fortunate years ago to work as a wildlife biologist living in Abilene a long time ago, and spending a fair amount of time in Palapena County and Stevens County and Throckmorton and Haskell and, Shackleford and those counties out west of Fort Worth. And during those years, I remember doing quail lines as a wildlife biologist, where we'd go out every morning, have a 10-mile line, and we would record the number of bobwhite quail males or cocks that we heard calling and use that as trend data. And I can remember, too, seeing many, many coveys. Now, I know some of those ranchers still have done a good job, and whatever they've done, God bless them for it, because there's still quail there. But there's a lot of country that no longer has wild quail as we once did many years ago.
That's right. Yeah. And there are many factors, people point to fire ants and that's part of it. And, people, talk about habitat, and that's part of it. And there's a big unknown as well. Is it eye worms? Is it cecal worms? They've always had eye worms and cecal worms, but now the numbers have exploded on eye worms, where at one time, Larry, there might be a dozen. If you check the bird, now there may be 100 in behind his eyes, and that doesn't kill him, but it sure affects his eyesight. And when he flies into that barbed wire fence or telephone pole or whatever, then that's his demise. And when he can't escape a predator, everything likes to eat a bobwhite quail, beginning at the egg stage, and right on through little bumblebee size and to a mature bird, including Billy Kinder and Larry Weishuhn. Everything likes to eat a quail.
You're exactly good. Right. I love watching bird dogs, and we're going to talk about that here in just a little bit, but I also loved eating quail. Now, where I grew up, my granddad, Grandpa Weishuhn, his great thing to do was to sit on his front porch, or the gallery, which kind of ran around 3/4 of the house. And he would sit there and call the bobwhite quail. Now he did not care what we shot. We could have shot anything that wasn't livestock. He did not want us hunting quail just simply because he wanted to be able to sit there and call to them. So as a youngster, I did not get a chance to hunt quail. But at the same time, I grew up with a dad who loved coon hounds. We ran coons all during the winter time and with his hounds, and then we had beagles, and we used those on Sunday afternoons after church and Saturday afternoons after church, and sometime, late in the afternoon as well, too, running cottontails and swamp rabbits. So I grew up with an appreciation of hounds and dogs, but did not, unfortunately, get into the bird dogs. You mentioned going out with a shotgun. Did you have a dog that followed you around then, or where did the dogs come into your picture?
No, that was just me. I didn't have a bird dog, and I never had. I didn't own my first bird dog until I was about 30 years old, and boy, did it change my life. A fella had some real nice field trial dogs, and he had a wonderful bird dog, wild bird dog, but he didn't have the composure that he needed to be a field trial dog. And he gave me that dog, and the dog was broke, would handle well. She was great, and I turned her loose. We were up there close to, not far from Windthorst, not far from Mankins and that part of the world. And I turned that dog loose, and we went over a little hill and kind of hit a little bowl down between a few hills with some overhead cover, and it was loaded with bobwhite quail. And we pointed 9 coveys in about 2 hours just going around that box. And the light came on in Billy Kinder that day, and I said, this is like lungs and kidneys. I cannot live without one of these the rest of my life.
What was her name, by the way?
Her name was Kate. That was old Kate. She was my first bird dog. Yeah, and there have been many, many since then, and I've enjoyed field trialing and hunting. I've been privileged to hunt all over the United States and chase various birds. And it's always, Larry, it doesn't matter if it's pheasants in South Dakota or huns in Montana or Mearns quail in Arizona or bobwhites in West Texas. It all boils down to that relationship with your dog and watching a really good dog work. It's like you mentioned it earlier. It is just something to see. It's amazing.
It is. It's breathtaking. I've got some people that I know who own some reasonably good bird dogs, and occasionally I get invited to go hunting with them. And numerous times I've got couple over-under shotguns, and that I love to shoot. Don't do it very often, but I will follow those dogs around with a shotgun without the shells, just so I can watch the dogs work. I am absolutely, and honestly, if I didn't travel as much as what I did, I'd own bird dogs. But to me, the worst thing in the world that I could do to a dog that had innately bred to hunt or had that innate desire, such as I do, to hunt, and then keep them cooped up in a kennel the whole time. I can't make myself do that. So that's the reason I don't own bird dogs myself. But from Kate, what was she, a pointer? Was she an English pointer?
Yep.
Was
she was a liver and white English pointer, which we've now changed that over the years to simply pointer. They're officially recognized as pointer in North America, but they go back to the English pointer, which if you'll take a look at the logo for the Westminster Dog Show, very illustrious dog show up in New York, that logo includes a pointer. That bench show where they have a confirmation and show and overall, the specific breed specifics that they're checking. That goes back to some old boys sitting in a bar bragging on their bird dogs. And they said, well, let's have a dog show. And that's how Westminster was born.
Really?
With those guys. Yes, sir. Over bird dogs. But yep, she was a pointer, and I had a lot of great pointers, that great to me pointers through the years. and I can sit here and see them in my mind now and envision them. And I hunted with a guy that loved setters, and that was just such a classic bird dog. When they would go on point with that nose high in the air and that tail held high, and you could see those feathers on that tail, blowing in the breeze. And
I can see them.
And you walk up to that dog, and he's what we used to call smoking the pipe, and you know what I'm talking about. He was taking air in through his nose and then puffing it back out through his mouth, and his cheeks would puff that air out, in and out, smoking the pipe. And you just wanted to stand there and look at him. They were so beautiful. And I said, well, I need some of those. So that kept me broke for a long time buying setters. And then, you mentioned putting your dogs up and not using them, not hunting them when they're intended to hunt. That's what got me started in field trialing. I realized that outside of hunting seasons, I could enjoy working with my dog and have purpose and go compete with him, not to win a trophy, but to spend time with him that extended my time in the field with my dogs. It started a month or so before bird seasons, and it continued on a month or even two after bird season. So I would only put my dog up from hunting during the really hot months, but that's what got me started with field trials, and that's still a great way to go if you want to extend time with your dog out in the field.
Absolutely. Okay, let's say there's a young man, young lady, old man, old woman, whatever, that all of a sudden decides, this bird dog thing sounds interesting, and I'd like to get a bird dog, and I don't know that I want to do field trials. I don't know that I want to hunt, but I would love to have that dog work. Somebody would come to you. What advice would you give them for their first dog? That they will,
I would tell
a particular breed, or is there, and what should they be prepared for?
Yeah, no, I would tell them, I would probably give them some names of people, very reputable people like Ronnie Smith up in Oklahoma. Ronnie is the great Hall of Famer Delmer Smith's nephew, Delmer's son,
yes.
Rick Smith. You probably know these guys.
I don't
go
know
to
Rick,
someone
but
that.
Dad, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. The guys that are reputable, they've been doing it a long time. They're still around because they're honest and they do what they say they're going to do. Go talk to them about bloodlines, because you've got to have the blood. You've got to have the breeding to get something good, because and there's no guarantee that you can buy the best blood in the world and may not turn out. You know how that is. But chances are much improved that you're going to have something you're proud of if you buy quality. Start with a quality puppy and get some really good tutoring on how to handle that dog the first year, and then take yourself and that dog to a pro trainer. Not just your dog. Don't drop your dog off and then expect them to come teach you. After a year of socializing and humanizing that puppy, take him everywhere with you, the post office, the doctor's office. Everybody wants to pet a puppy, put their hands on it, and that's training. That's all training for that pup. And then you go back. You go back and visit during the training process, and you go to school with that dog, and you learn from that trainer as well, and start with a firm foundation. The things you do the first 2 years can really be a blessing to the remaining years you have with that dog. Get a firm foundation, and then there's places to go hunt, public land, or you may want to hunt a lease, and we can talk a little bit about how to find a lease and what to look for, that sort of thing. But take him hunting. Spend time in the field with him. Go with him. Don't just put him in the kennel and forget about him. Stay active.
Billy, is there a particular breed that you recommend or that you personally like? I mean, there are several different bird dog breeds, obviously, but is there one that would probably be better suited for somebody that's just getting started, or does it not really matter what breed somebody would choose. Maybe they like a dog that's got longer hair. Maybe they got a dog that's shorter hair. Maybe they like a dog of a particular color too, kind of thing. But is there anything in any breed that you might recommend over one of the others?
I still love my pointers and setters, but I fell in love with the Brittany's, the Rick Smith line of Brittany's years ago. They started breeding these dogs up. They used to call them shoe buffers, Larry, because they wouldn't get out from under your feet, and the big running pointers and setters would go out there and find the birds before them. They'd range out further. That changed through genetics over the years, and now those Brittany's pound the ground and will go. And in many cases, I had one that there wasn't a dog in the country that could outrun him. And I don't care what you guys are thinking right now. Your dog could not outrun my dog. And he had a great nose, and I had old Bear for 15 years. And what I like about the Brittany's is he was a tremendous hunter, all tremendous hunters, but a lot of times my pointers just had no personality. They were born to work. They were hunting dogs.
Yes.
The Brittany was a family member. He's the only dog I ever let come stay in the house. He'd mind his manners. I never had to housebreak him. He just knew, don't do that in here. And the Brittany's were more personable to me. Go to a field trial and watch. NSTRA, National Shoot to Retrieve Association, is excellent about inviting folks to come out, and they run small fields where you can actually watch. Many times they'll let you ride with a judge and see what's happening up close. Observe the different breeds, not only in the field, but when they're up there around around the gallery. Walk around, take a look at the various breeds. You might not like one or two breeds because all they want to do when they're not hunting is bark 24 hours a day. That's not a good fit for a lot of folks. And I'm not going to point out those breeds. You'll know who they are when you hear them. Others mind their manners a little more. So, you mentioned personal taste and a haircut. That's a big deal too. Shedding and not shedding so much. Just different. Will a dog listen to you? Are they hard-headed? The various breeds have various qualities. But to me, if you're looking for a hunting partner, a Brittany is really hard to beat most of the time. Setters are similar. Pointers can get really hard-headed. I had one old dog that was he was a wonderful bird dog. He found a lot of birds for me, Larry, but when it was time to quit, he did not like that. And his name was Joker, and it was a cold day in Garza County, Texas, and we were tired near the end of the day, and I whistled old Joker up. It's time to put him up. Well, he got about 20 feet from that dog trailer and said, I'm not finished. And he turned around and took off. And 2 days later, I got a call from a guy that had him 9 miles from where I'd parked that trailer, where I'd last seen him. He was almost he ran. I was halfway between Post and Rawls. You know where that is, up 207. He cut cross country, was almost to Slayton, almost to the Slayton city limits.
Oh my gracious! Yeah,
and he was hunting, So some of them run a little bigger and have different traits, and some of them get along with you a little better. But a Brittany to me is a good friend as well as a great hunting partner.
Yes, sir. What was the name of that organization again? And is there a website for it?
There is. NSTRA, National Shoot to Retrieve Association. They're walking trials. They have an amateur division many times when they run their trials. They're all over the U.S. And so you can get started with your dog. People are really generous to offer information and suggestions. And maybe if you're having a training problem with your dog, you can sit down at lunch and there'll be 15 guys that will give you a different opinion and how-to information. They're wonderful places to go. And And I know the horseback people look on the walking dog people and they say, well, those aren't really bird dogs and that's not really a field trial, and vice versa. But it's no difference than high fence, low fence, no fence, bow and arrow, rifle.
Exactly.
But it's a wonderful place for someone to get their feet wet with their dog and go out and learn how to work with your dog in the field.
And learn from some very good people who obviously are very anxious to help you if you ask any questions. I was not aware of that organization. That is a fantastic bunch of people. As far as I'm concerned, I may end up having to go one of those myself here before too very long, and I could satisfy some of my bird dog loving there and still not have to own one. Like I said, unfortunately, I travel too much to do that kind of thing. Oh my God, that's a fantastic situation. Shotguns. Let's talk about shotguns. I shoot a shotgun occasionally, not nearly as much as I do handguns and rifles. Okay, somebody's going to get into hunting quail or upland birds. It might be pheasants. It might be. I want to come back to the merns here in just a little bit as well too, or gambles or blues or whatever. What shotgun do you mind if I ask what shotgun you carry?
No, not at all. I have a pair of old Ruger Red Label. They're fixed choke. They're not variable chokes. You're gonna carry skeet if you're hunting with my gun, because if you're not going to get another choke in it, skeet. So you're going to spread that pattern pretty quick, which is what you want on a cubby rise.
Right.
But if you're looking for a shotgun, don't just look at beauty, because if you're going to beat it up. Okay. You're going to beat that thing up when you're out and about, and you're going to run a lot of rounds to it. I couldn't begin to guess how many rounds I've run through my primary Ruger Red Label, the one I've used the most through the years. And I've had that thing, decades. And the only problem I've ever had with that shotgun is I broke the forearm on it after I was cleaning it one day, and I did that myself. That was my mistake. I've never had anything malfunction or not work well, and it's fired, I'm going to say, hundreds of thousands of rounds. I have really beaten that thing up through the years, at least tens of thousands of rounds.
Oh my goodness.
Field trialing and bird hunting. So the primary thing is something durable. Don't go cheap. Spend a little more money, and this is not it's not an overwhelming price on a Ruger Red Label, but buy something dependable and something lightweight, because you're more than likely that you're going to carry it, all day long walking in the field, and an extra pound or two, Larry, gets really heavy after an hour or two or four.
You know what? It really does. And I'm thrilled that you mentioned the Ruger Red Label. That happens to be my favorite shotgun as well, too. Mine fits me absolutely perfectly. It's one of those guns it's magical as far as I'm concerned, particularly when it comes to shotguns, because I know the shotgun is hitting stuff that I can't. But also, interesting too, Ruger has just reintroduced the Red Label as well too. So those are now back available, thankfully. They made a couple different changes to it, I think, but absolutely a good-looking shotgun. And I mentioned fit. I think it's really important that people, if they're not familiar with shooting shotguns, regardless what action it is, pump, single shot, semi-auto, side by side, whatever, up and down, over, under, is that they get a shotgun that fits them in terms of pull and all the length of pull and all those other kind of things, so it's comfortable to shoot. And I know there's a lot of good gun shops around that know about these things, and they will fit a shotgun to a person. So I recommend that they do that as well too. Do you like 20 gauges, 28, 410?
No, I'm a 20 gauge guy. I've got buddies that swear by their 410, and they're really good with their 410, but they still cripple some birds that a 20 would have killed, I do believe. And maybe they don't, but that's what I believe, and that's what I think I've seen through the years. So, yeah, I think a 20 gauge is more than sufficient for all of our quails. When I go to South Dakota to hunt pheasants, I want to leave absolutely no doubt. So I carry a 12 gauge semi-auto with me, and I powwow them, you know. But for all of our quails, a 20 gauge, a little 20 gauge is a little lighter to carry and very adequate. Yeah, that's plenty of shotgun. I know a lot of guys shoot a 28, and that's a great gun. And even maybe a little more lighter than the 20 gauge in some instances. So, a 12 gauge, I think, is a little, more than you need. But if that's what you enjoy and you shoot it well, go at it. Go for it.
By all means, mine happens to be a 20 gauge as well too. And like I said, I absolutely dearly love it. You mentioned several different species of quail. Obviously, you love the bob white. Is there and let's keep this in quail more so than maybe chucker or grouse or some of the others. But what are some of your other favorite quail species to hunt?
Well, you know, if you live in Texas, you love to hate blue quail because that dog will point up there about a quarter mile from you, and you'll take off with your buddies, and you're hoofing it across there. And just when you get about a football field from them, that dog relocates and takes off hunting again. And he points about a quarter mile further up, and your heart rate pumps up, Larry, here we go again, and you take off. And you're getting up there, you get about a football field from him, and that dog relocates again. And you do that about 3 or 4 times, and finally those blues will stop running. They'll have to stop for a breath of air. And then you can get a shot at them most days. But I do love the blue quail. They're bigger than the bobs, and they provide a little more meat at supper time, which is important too. And they're beautiful birds. And when you find one, you might find 150 in a big bunch after some of those coveys come together late in the year. They're a lot of fun. But a species that I've been fortunate to hunt in Arizona is the little Mearns quail, harlequin quail, or clown quail, they call them.
Describe what they look like to people.
They're beautiful, absolutely beautiful. They're a dark satin black and white, black and white contrast, with stripes on their face and just beautiful. And that's where they get the clown quail, harlequin quail, name. But they're just an absolutely beautiful bird. And their habits, Larry, are very similar to a bob white quail. They'll covey up together. After you flush that covey, maybe shoot a bird or two. You can wait and listen, and you'll hear them recall back together like bob whites do. A lot of the same habits. They'll fly about like a bob white, about the same distance. They use the same kind of cover. So if you're a bob white hunter, you can adapt to a Mearns quail hunt very easily. And there's good public land in Arizona too, down close to the Mexican border, that you can hunt on. And some years, are really good years, for those, but they're wonderful birds. Go a little further north in Arizona, you got gambles. You can take your BB gun to the golf course and shoot those things. They're running around everywhere out there. But I would say the bob white and Mearns are probably my two absolute favorites.
Absolutely. You realize we do have a few Mearns quail in Texas.
Not many, but yes, we do.
No, we do. I have seen them in the hills northwest of Uvalde, and I was recently, this past year, I was down, we're up in the high country, in the Trans-Pecos up in the Shinati Mountains, and I ran across several coveys of them there as well too. And you're right. To me, they're they fascinate me as well too. They really do.
Just beautiful.
They're so pretty. And like I said, the first one I saw, we were doing a helicopter survey out west of Uvalde, northwest of Uvalde, and I looked down and there was this covey of quail. Man, that's not a bob white. And finally, we got down just low enough a little bit, and where I could see them. And I thought, oh my God, it can't be. So, I go back, look up, find me a bird book, and no question, it is a Mearns quail. And so I've encountered them there a couple of times, a few times. The last ones I saw was on the Ox Ranch there in Northwest Uvalde on another kind of hunt, and we ran into a covey of them up there. So I wish we had more of them. If we had more of them, God, that'd be one of those that I'd think I would really like to hunt. Let's talk a little bit about you. You're a crappie fisherman. Your dad was. You love to crappie fish. You're a fantastic cook, among other things. But let's since we're talking about quail, what's your favorite quail recipe?
Well, it's pretty simple: salt, pepper, and flour, and I take the legs. What I do with the legs, Larry, is I put them on the grill. I save them for steak night, and I grill them up real quick with lemon pepper, out on the grill. And it doesn't take but a minute to grill a leg. Thigh's got a bite or two on it, and so you save up a little bag full of those when you get the boys coming over to hunt with you or whatever, and grill them up, and then you enjoy those appetizers while you grill your steaks for supper and tell your lies, and they go together well. They're really good, but I like my quail fried like the old-fashioned way. Just flour, salt, and pepper, and drop them down in that oil, or skillet fry them, however you like to do your frying, and enjoy them that way. Now, here's a little tip. George is older now, and I don't know if he still does this or not, but George's Cafe in Post, Texas, if you've been out right smack dab in the middle of Rolling Plains quail heaven, right? If you'll clean your birds and bring them to George in the evening, he would either grill them or fry them for you, whatever you wanted, and he knew what he was doing. And so, there's a little tip. If you want someone else to cook them up for you and you're hunting in that neck of the woods, go check with George's Cafe, or your local cafe may still have that talent. Some of the old-timers would do that for you. But it's pretty simple. Slice a tomato and then maybe a few potatoes, skillet fried, and flour, salt, and pepper.
Oh, my God, you're making my mouth water.
I can eat them till the cows come home.
I've eaten quail a lot of different ways, but you're right. That of all the ways I've had it, my gosh, the way you described it is just exactly, I think, the very best way there is anywhere in the world to prepare them.
There's healthier ways to eat them, Larry, but I've always justified them by, you know what? I walked 47 miles today for these birds, and I'm going to do it again tomorrow. I believe I can eat a fried quail.
I believe you can too. And if you're hunting blue quail or scale quail, you can probably double that mileage.
You're right. And you ran instead of walked. And it wasn't old gentleman Bob anymore. Hey, can we talk about nutrition for just a minute?
I would love to. Yes, sir.
It's so very important. And I'm not here to tell you what to feed, but I'll tell you what I have fed for decades, which is Purina Pro Plan. The Pro Plan Performance Formula is it's in the purple bag under the sport label. Wherever you find quality dog fuel, you're going to find Purina Pro Plan Performance. And it's 30% protein, Larry. It's hot fuel, 20% fat. And it is absolutely the best fuel, hands down, ever made for our hard-working dogs, cow dogs, working dogs, hunting dogs. And the proof in the pudding is 89% of the field trial champions across North America feed Purina Pro Plan Performance Formula. When you go to a field trial, that's important too. When you're educating yourself at a field trial, walk around from dog trailer to dog trailer to dog trailer to dog owner to dog trainer and ask them, hey, what do you feed your dog? And 90% of them are going to tell you Purina Pro Plan. It's just the absolute best. And it's so very important These dogs, every mile, and I've heard various numbers, every mile that we walk on a wild bird hunt, they say that our dogs run, I've heard 7 miles, 9 miles, 12 miles, whatever it is, they travel a lot further than we do in a day. And you've got to fuel them up right at the end of the day, or you're not going to have any dog power tomorrow morning. You're going to wear them out. So whatever you choose, make sure it's a good high protein and stick with it. Because you're going to pay a little more for quality stuff. I've seen it many, many times where guys will, as soon as quail season's over or field trial season's over, they'll go buy the cheap stuff, which ain't worth owning.
No.
And they'll feed that through the hot summer months because, hey, that 30% protein, 20% fat, that's a hot fuel. I get it. Right. But they don't need as much in the summertime. You cut them back in the summertime to just a cup or whatever.
Right.
They just they're not using it. They're shaded in the kennel more. Maybe workouts are short, 5-10 minutes is all you want in the brutal heat. But if you change that dog over twice a year from the high-powered stuff to the low-powered stuff and from the inexpensive stuff back to the good fuel in the fall, you're asking a lot for that dog's metabolism, and you're asking a lot from that dog to make those adjustments. It takes a long time for that body to recognize that, okay, here's what I need to process and do. And it takes months, literally, science has proven, to adapt to that new fuel, and then months again to ramp back up. So you spend most of your year, your dog's metabolism is working on change most of the year. Feed the same fuel year-round, be consistent, just cut back the amount you feed in the hot summertime, and I think you'll like the results you have with your dog, and you'll see better health from your dog. Clearer eyes, look for those visible things. Cleaner teeth, more energy, a better attitude, more energy, ready to go. A slick, shiny coat, just like we look for in our cattle. And you know, we kind of judge our feed and how our cattle are doing by that coat. And every critter, physical signs that they're being fed well and hitting all of the spots they need to in their nutrition. And that's what quality dog food does. Whatever you feed, make sure it's quality and do it year round. I'll get off my soapbox.
No, thank you for getting on that one, because as you were talking, I was relating the same thing, advice that I give to people when they're talking about, I want to do a deer feed, and then they want to keep changing it. Well, every time that anything changes within that animal's diet drastically, and dogs included, it destroys pretty much everything. It helps break down, what that animal eats, and has to start all over again. And you're right, that dog spends a lot of time, his system, trying to readapt, and then by the time he adapts to the new stuff, you change it again, and you set that same process over again and again and again. And the other thing that I noticed that I'm picked up on is 20% fat.
Yes, sir.
In that diet, people don't realize how important energy is to.
You bet.
You can have the greatest protein in the world, but on any working animal, whether it's a dog, a horse, or whatever, but you got to have those carbohydrates and fats there to really let that animal do what it needs to do. If you just do feed protein and not energy, you're not going to. There'll be some spillover on protein that turns into energy, but not the amount that you need, and particularly in terms of when you're working dogs, they need a lot of energy. I mentioned I grew up hunting hounds with my dad, and that was one of the things that we noticed that he told me about it a long, long time ago. He said, what are we feeding these animals or these dogs is a very high energy feed so that they can get out and really do what you want them to. So thank you so much for bringing that up. Any other tips that you might want to add in there for somebody that's, getting into the bird dog or even if they have a bunch of bird dogs right now?
Yeah, back just while we're talking about nutrition, A lot of times bird dogs, Larry, will, when you take them hunting, they have a personality change, and they are so focused. That's all they want to do is to go hunt. And when it's time to feed at night, a lot of them will go off of their feed during a hunt and won't eat during the entire trip. Now, if that's a 4-day, 10-day, 2-week hunt, you know, they might eat something on down the road a little bit, but it's hard to get them to go. Fortiflora from Purina Veterinary Diets is a probiotic that tastes great. You can literally, it comes in a little daily packet. You can pour that packet in a bowl, and the dog will just lick it right up. They love it. It's really good to take that with you on long hunt, especially if you've got a finicky dog at supper time on the hunt, and sprinkle it across that Pro Plan at night, and add a little water to that Pro Plan at night, that high 30-20. And I've seen that work a lot of times. You have to entice them to eat a little bit, and it'll do them a world of good, and they'll be ready to go again the next morning. Does a really good job of keeping their digestive health intact as well.
Fantastic advice. My gracious, thank you so very much.
It works good.
And they're Purina dealers all over the place too, folks. I mean, you know, it's not like you can't find the stuff that Billy just mentioned, because you just got to go to the right, not necessarily the right feed store, but any kind of feed store that sells dog food ought to be carrying both those lines.
Years ago, Larry, we'd take a trailer load of bird dogs and go to Montana to work dogs. And I might have 14 dogs back there in the trailer, and going to be up in Montana with them for 2 weeks. And I would have to go down to my Purina guy before I left town, and I'd buy 3 giant bags of Pro Plan just to make sure I've got plenty and haul it with me. And over the years, you know, the legend started to grow and how great this stuff is, and it was readily available all along the road. So not a problem anymore. You can get it wherever you are.
Oh my goodness! Thank goodness! Thank goodness.
Billy,
anything else you want to add about before we cut this thing off? And you probably go crappie fishing, and I'm headed down to this will appear later, but I'm headed down to the Texas Outdoor Writer Association thing. We're supposed to have a fishing contest tomorrow, so I'm going to go down and try to fish saltwater, and probably somewhere in the next very near future, you'll be back crappie fishing. Anything else you want to add before we turn this thing off?
Well, there is, Larry, and it's an important point. The biggest crisis that I see with upland bird hunting these days, and you know, we do a lot of money, a good job raising a lot of money for quail research, and that's going well, and that's doing well, and we worry about the birds. But what we need to worry about is bird hunters. Our younger generation this is such a fabulous heritage. It's rich in North American history and heritage, bird dogs and bird hunting. But we priced ourselves out of the hunting market. For a young man, and I had a conversation with Boone Pickens about this before he died.
Yes, sir.
And I told him, I said, Boone, you and I both know we've got trouble. We don't have youngsters coming in. If a young man's got a child at home or 2,
right,
and everything's expensive. A tank of gas is expensive. Well, he certainly can't afford a $1,500, $2,000 bird dog that's broke and ready to go, and a dog box that's now $1,000. It used to be $50, and a place to hunt. Lease prices have gotten really, really high. A shotgun, all that it takes to go and be an upland bird hunter has just gotten too expensive, and so I think we've got to think, as conservationists, as people that love our quails and love the sport, how we can get kids involved. And the first easy step is take a kid hunting with you. Take them hunting with you. A young man that lives on your street that might want to go hunt, maybe he's 25 years old and never been, ask him if he'd like to go quail hunting, expose them to the sport and let them find their way. And also to all of the quail organizations, and there are some great ones across North America.
Right.
As we do our quail research, let's also talk about seeding a youngster with a shotgun, a broke dog, and a dog box to help him get started and save him that tremendous cost. And I think as we sit in our rocking chairs years down the road, not so many years down the road from now, we'll look at that and say, we did something good. We've got some fresh young legs out in the field now, and it's good.
Absolutely. You nailed it. Thank you for bringing that up. I started the Texas Wildlife Association back in 1985.
Yes, sir.
More so than from the quail side, but you've got me interested in going back to our organization and saying, look, we need to look at the bird dog and look at the upland game birds as well too. Over the years, through that and the Texas Youth Hunting Organization, through the Hunt Master Program, and all of it that comes from basically Texas Wildlife Association, we've taken over 40,000, I think approaching actually 50,000 kids this year hunting, most of them for the first time. And with it, they had to have a parent or guardian, and a lot of times it was that parent and guardian's first time hunting as well too.
Yes, sir.
But with listening to you, I think we need to take a real serious look at doing a more, we have the Bob White Brigade and all those other things going on as well too.
Yep.
But maybe there's something that can be added there as well too, so that we can provide people with young people with shotguns, with a dog, or at least with the experience as you mentioned. So thank you so very much for bringing that up. That's something we really need to do, folks. So if you're out there listening and you have an opportunity to do that, take somebody hunting or help support somebody in a way with a shotgun or a dog box or whatever, please do so.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, Larry, you've been so kind to share your microphone with me today, and I greatly appreciate that. And the only thing I can see wrong with this situation is we're not sitting in quail camp talking about it. We're doing it over the phone.
You know what? You're exactly right, and we'll see if we can't remedy that here before too very long.
I bet we do.
I bet we do. I know of a place up in North Texas. I think that I know it's got a lot of birds, wild birds, native birds, mostly bobs. We need to see about getting you up there a little bit later this fall, and we'll share that campfire, and we'll fry up a bunch of quail, and who knows what, maybe some crappie and a few other things as well too. Absolutely. That sounds good to me, friend. Billy, thank you so very much for being with us. Thank you for all that you do for hunting, for conservation. You do so many things, and people, please listen to Billy on the Sirius Radio and on the AM stations, and go to his website to learn more about this absolutely fantastic individual that I've had the opportunity to talk to this morning. And want to invite everybody to the DSC Summer Show in July 23rd, 24th, 25th, the DSC Foundation Gala on the 25th, and you can learn more about those at biggame.org and also dscf.org. Billy, thank you again for being with us, and ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you right back here next week.
DSC's Campfires with Larry Weishuhn has also been brought to you by the Crown Bar in LaGrange, Texas, the Texas Wildlife Association, Double Nickel Taxidermy, and Burnham Brothers Game Calls.